10 male inmates who are accused of violent crimes including murder broke out of a New Orleans jail last week, and at least half of them remain at large. They made their harrowing overnight escape through a hole behind a toilet and by scaling their way down the building, while the lone guard responsible for overseeing their cell block was on a meal break. On Thursday, authorities announced the arrest of 32-year-old Courtney Harris and 38-year-old Corvante Baptiste, who are accused of helping some of the escapees evade law enforcement. Both women are facing felony charges along with a third suspect, 59-year-old Connie Whedon, who was arrested on Friday. Additionally, a 33-year-old jail employee, Sterling Williams, has admitted to shutting off the water to several cells after supposedly being threatened with a shank. According to the most recent available updates, 5 of the escaped prisoners have been captured, while the other 5 remain on the loose as of the making of this video. Authorities reminded the public that all of the escapees are considered armed and dangerous, and to immediately call law enforcement rather than approaching any of them in the event of a sighting. Number 14. Luna Ambrozevicius Abrahao. 22-year-old Brazilian fashion model and influencer Luna Ambrozevicius Abrahao was stabbed 9 times by her recent ex-boyfriend, who attacked her while she was in the middle of live streaming from her Sao Paulo apartment on Monday. She had just broken up with her assailant, Alex Oliveira, and they were reportedly in the midst of an argument when the attack occurred. Abrahao could be heard screaming in terror as blood spattered onto the floor and furniture, and at one point the footage showed a large bladed knife, which seemed to snap from the sheer force that was used to plunge it into the victim's body. Abrahao was rushed to the hospital, where she underwent emergency surgery for stab wounds to her back, head, hand, and foot. In an Instagram update, she wrote that her survival was not only a miracle but a revival, and that she found the strength to survive while thinking about her young daughter. She also thanked a neighbor who helped to keep the bleeding under control while they waited for emergency responders to arrive. Police are searching for Oliveira, who is wanted on attempted murder and domestic violence charges. Number 13. Logan Rogers. Authorities in Lauderdale County, Alabama, have announced the arrest of 28-year-old Logan Rogers, who is facing charges for the death of a local woman who went missing last weekend. 38-year-old Autumn Page Strickland's charred remains were found in a burn barrel on Rogers' property, where police say Rogers took the body after hitting Strickland with his car on Saturday, May 17th. At the time she went missing, Strickland may have been suffering from a condition that impaired her judgment. According to law enforcement, Rogers intentionally hit Strickland with his 2012 Kia Soul, then circled around and hit her for a second time. He then left the scene and returned a half-hour later with a pickup truck, which he used to transport the body to the site where it was found. Rogers was initially charged with attempted murder. Following the discovery of Strickland's body, the charge was upgraded to murder, and he's currently being held without bail at the Lauderdale County Jail as the investigation continues. Authorities have yet to reveal an alleged motive for the crime. Number 12. NYC broad daylight stabbing. A 36-year-old New Yorker suffered non-life-threatening stab wounds after a scissor-wielding woman attacked him for accidentally snapping her picture while he took photos on the street for social media. The broad daylight assault occurred in Manhattan's West Village, where a well-dressed woman could be seen hitting the victim on the shoulder and plunging a pair of scissors into his back. Clad in a black dress, a leather jacket, and high heels, she could be seen fleeing into a nearby subway station just moments later. The attacker remains at large, and police have released images of the perpetrator in hopes that members of the public will come forward with information leading to her identity and whereabouts. Tipsters are encouraged to call the NYPD's Crime Stoppers hotline and can also submit information online through the Crime Stoppers website. Number 11. Michael Dutkiewicz. A Pennsylvania man is being held without bond for the murder of his girlfriend, 24-year-old microbiologist Elisa Rose Weist, who was shot multiple times inside her West Conshohocken home on Sunday. The deadly attack occurred at around midnight, according to authorities, who announced the arrest of 26-year-old Michael Dutkiewicz on Tuesday. Weiss was found dead on the sidewalk with a trail of blood leading from her home to her body. Her front door was ajar, leading to the suspicion that she was running for her life when Dutkiewicz shot her. Neighbors reported seeing Dutkiewicz outside after the gunshots rang out, but by the time emergency responders arrived, he had fled the scene in his vehicle. A warrant was issued for his arrest, and he turned himself in to law enforcement 12 hours after the shooting. He's charged with first-degree murder, third-degree murder, and possessing an instrument of a crime, and is being held at the Montgomery County Detention Facility as he awaits his next court hearing, which is scheduled for May 27th. Number 10. Daniel Ortega.
Okay, what's going on there?
Yeah, I think I saw someone come in with an AR.
Come into the Las Vegas Athletic Club?
Yes.
Thanks to a handful of quick-thinking police officers, a Las Vegas man was stopped dead in his tracks, literally, while attempting to carry out a mass killing at a busy gym. 34-year-old Daniel Ortega entered the Las Vegas Athletic Club armed with a large rifle, and could be seen pacing and exchanging words with an employee before he fired 24 rounds, killing 31-year-old manager Edgar Quinones and injuring 3 others. Police believe Ortega, who was an active member of the gym, planned to continue killing, but he encountered his first obstacle when his gun jammed. He attempted to run from officers who proceeded to neutralize the threat and prevented any more carnage from happening. Ortega died at a nearby hospital, and investigators are currently working to determine the motive for the attempted massacre. According to an update on the case, police were seen investigating a home linked to the gunman. A reporter from News 3 Las Vegas attempted to speak with someone at the home, but the person declined to comment and immediately shut the front door. Number 9. Drew Garnier. 33-year-old Drew Garnier of Masonville, New York, has admitted to fatally stabbing his 5 months pregnant wife, 29-year-old Samantha Garnier, and attempting to kill their 2 daughters because he wanted a son. In the meantime, Garnier has pleaded guilty to first-degree manslaughter and 2 counts of first-degree assault, resulting in a 30-year state prison sentence followed by 15 years of post-release supervision. The resolution to the case came as part of a plea deal which was meant to protect the surviving victims, Izzy and Adelina, who are reportedly recovering from significant injuries. By avoiding a trial and being amenable to a plea agreement, prosecutors helped to spare the girls from the trauma that would come along with testifying against their father. Garnier is banned from seeing his children until the year 2056, unless either of his daughters choose to resume contact with him at any point before the ban expires. They've both been adopted by their maternal grandfather, who has vowed to protect them from further harm. Number 8. Cameron Tucker. A Mexican migrant leapt from the second-story window of a Houston, Texas home after being held for ransom for days without food or water. According to law enforcement, 25-year-old twice-convicted felon Cameron Tucker demanded compensation for smuggling the victim into Eagle Pass beneath the floorboard of his car. He's accused of holding the victim at gunpoint while ordering the man's family to pay $2,000 in order to secure his release. Left with no other choice, the victim managed to move a mattress which was blocking a bedroom door, then jumped to safety following his 3rd night of captivity. He tracked down some nearby police officers and alerted them to the situation, and law enforcement forced its way into the home where they found Tucker hiding. Tucker has been charged with aggravated kidnapping, and residents in the typically quiet, family-oriented community have expressed shock over the recent events leading to his arrest. Number 7. Maria Jose Estupinan. Just days after a glamorous Mexican influencer was gunned down in her own beauty salon, a Colombian social media star was shot dead during a fake delivery at her home. 22-year-old Maria Jose Estupinan opened the door to accept a package, unaware that the person waiting on the other side had plans to kill her. Identified by authorities as Magda Victoria Acosta, the bogus delivery man fled just moments after shooting the victim at close range. Screams for help could be heard in the background of surveillance video which showed the suspect running from the scene. According to police, Estupinan had previously reported an ex-partner to law enforcement for domestic abuse on several occasions. And while this angle is being considered as a possible motive, the case is more generally being investigated as a potential femicide or the killing of a female based on a hatred toward women. Estupinan's murder has already sparked renewed conversations about the killing of women in Colombia, where there were 633 reported femicides in 2022 and 630 in 2023. Number 6. Hannah Moody. More than a day after she was last seen alive, 31-year-old hiker Hannah Moody was found dead near a trailhead parking lot at the McDowell-Sonoran Preserve in Arizona. The discovery was made on Thursday by search crews who launched their efforts to find Moody after she was reported missing on Wednesday evening. Moody's family contacted law enforcement when they stopped hearing from her. They soon learned that she had been last seen hours earlier at the preserve's Gateway trailhead area. Police called the search off at around midnight, then resumed their efforts after daybreak the following morning. Searchers found Moody's body at around noon while searching an area just 600 yards away from the trail. Authorities say that there are no signs of foul play thus far, but that the case remains an active investigation. In the meantime, Moody's cause and manner of death are being withheld pending the release of autopsy results by the Maricopa County Medical Examiner's Office. Number 5. Musicians perish in small plane crash. 6 people were killed on Thursday morning after a small private jet burst into flames and crashed into a San Diego neighborhood. Included among the perished were 39-year-old heavy metal drummer Daniel Williams, a founding member of the Devil Wears Prada, and music industry bigwig David Shapiro. In an ironic twist of fate, Williams had previously escaped death in 2019 when a gunman opened fire inside the Ned Pepper's bar in Dayton, Ohio. He was lucky to survive after being trapped inside the bar during the massacre, which left 9 people dead and 27 others injured. Williams was celebrating a new software engineering job when he died on the ill-fated flight, which was traveling from Teterboro, New Jersey, when the aircraft struck some power lines in foggy conditions. Just hours before the crash, which occurred shortly before 4 a.m., he had posted photos of himself on the jet on social media. All lives aboard were lost when the plane exploded upon impact, and at least a dozen homes were damaged, but no one on the ground was injured. Number 4. Adarius Taylor. Former NFL linebacker Adarius Taylor was among more than 250 suspects who were arrested in a large-scale human trafficking bust in Florida. The 34-year-old, who played 7 seasons with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the Carolina Panthers, and the Cleveland Browns, was nabbed during a multi-agency dubbed Operation Fool Around and Find Out. According to Polk County Sheriff Grady Judd, Taylor left his young son in the car alone when he went to the sting site, where he reportedly expected to exchange money for escorting services. The child was placed into the care of the state's Department of Children and Families, and Taylor, who last played professionally in 2020, has been charged with felony negligent child abuse without bodily harm and misdemeanor solicitation of prostitution charges. Sheriff Judd minced no words while announcing news of the arrest, stating in his characteristically blunt fashion, "Obviously he must have hit one too many people as a linebacker because his brain cells are scrambled." Taylor is currently free on bond and is currently awaiting his arraignment, which is scheduled for June 10th. Number 3. Jeal Sutherland. An upstate New York man has pleaded guilty to a federal murder-for-hire charge for trying to hire a hitman to kill his girlfriend's ex, who is also the father of the woman's child, unaware that he was interacting with an undercover FBI agent and an informant for the U.S. Department of Justice. 57-year-old Jeal Sutherland expressed an interest in feeding the victim's dead body to a farmer's hogs. In addition to admitting to the murder-for-hire plot, he confessed to stuffing menacing notes into the beaks of dead birds and leaving them on the intended target's doorstep in early 2025. Sutherland thought he was relying on a trusted associate when he contacted an inmate he had previously used as an enforcer to collect debts that people owed him, but the prisoner and convicted murderer was facing his own legal problems and agreed to cooperate with the feds in exchange for leniency. Sutherland agreed to pay $1,450 and a bottle of wild turkey bourbon for the job, but the plot was foiled. He's now facing 7 to 9 years behind bars and is currently awaiting sentencing, which is scheduled for September of this year. Number 2. Adarius Rodriguez. 2 Israeli embassy diplomats were days away from getting engaged when they were shot dead in cold blood outside the Capitol Jewish Museum in Washington, D.C. on Wednesday night. The young lovers, 28-year-old Yaron Lashinsky and 26-year-old Sarah Milgram, were just leaving the American Jewish Committee's Access Young Diplomats reception when they were murdered at around 9 p.m. During her tragically short-lived career, Milgram spent time with groups who were focused on establishing peace between Israel and Palestine. She planned on meeting Lashinsky's family during an upcoming trip to Israel, while Lashinsky had purchased a ring and hoped to solidify their relationship with a proposal. The accused killer, 30-year-old Chicago resident Adarius Rodriguez, is facing a first-degree murder charge, and federal prosecutors have already announced their plans to pursue the death penalty. He was reportedly seen mingling with guests shortly before the shooting, and police are currently working to determine how and when he became radicalized amid the ongoing investigation into the disturbing double homicide. Number 1. Matthew Lee Johnson. A Texas death row inmate who set an elderly store clerk on fire in 2012 has been executed for his crimes. 49-year-old Matthew Lee Johnson attacked 76-year-old great-grandmother Nancy Harris in the Dallas suburb of Garland during what was later described as a robbery gone wrong. Harris died several days later after suffering horrifying burn injuries after describing her assailant in what's known as a dying declaration, and Johnson was put to death on the 13th anniversary of the attack. During his trial in 2013, Johnson took responsibility for his actions, calling himself the lowest scum of the earth, and admitted to being high on crack cocaine when he killed Harris. In a bizarre final statement given from the execution chamber at the state's Huntsville prison, the convicted murderer pleaded with Harris's family for forgiveness and said that he hoped to see his victim again in death. Johnson was pronounced dead 26 minutes after the lethal cocktail of drugs was administered, making him the 4th inmate to be executed in Texas so far this year.